He who is 8 days old among you will be circumcised. Every male child in your generations, he who is born in your house or bought with money from a foreigner who is not your descendant. He was born in your house and he was bought with your money must be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised male child who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant.
That's a covenant?
That's the sign of the covenant.
But what's a covenant?
Okay, the covenant is...
It's a cabinet.
Here it is. Verse 19. No, Sarah your wife shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his descendants after him. And then he says, as for Ishmael, I have heard you, behold, I have blessed him, and I will exceedingly multiply. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear you at this set time next year. And then he finished talking, and God went up. Now we have to go back to see what God's covenant was. And so we go back to chapter 15. We go back to chapter 15, and it says, the word of the Lord came to him, and he says, da-da-da. God says, look now towards heaven and count the stars if you are able to number him. And he said to him, so shall your descendants be. And he believed the Lord, and it was accounted to him for righteousness. Then he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur the Chaldeans to give you this land to inherit it. And Abraham said, are you listening? You want to read it?
Yeah, I'll read it in your voice. Abraham said,
he said, Lord, he said, I'm going to give you this land to inherit. And he said, how am I going to know? And then, this is important. He brings him a heifer, a goat, and a ram, a turtle, and a pigeon. And Abraham cuts them all in half, okay? Dang. And then he spreads them all out. It's really disgusting. and he falls asleep. He chases all the vultures away, but then the sun goes down, and Abraham falls into a deep sleep. It happens to be the same deep sleep that Adam fell into, but in same words. And horror and darkness fell upon him, and he said to Abraham, know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in this land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them for 400 years. And also the nation whom they serve I will judge. Afterward they shall come out with great possessions. Now as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, there appeared a smoking oven and a burning torch that passed between those pieces. And on the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, to your descendants I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, the Canaanites, the Kezites, the Kadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. So basically the covenant with Abraham that was a sign is that God was going to give his children, well, part of the covenant, God was going to give his descendants all of the land of Israel, from where, basically from the top of Egypt almost to Babylon. Okay? That's so funny. Okay? And God's going to be their people. Okay? And then we talk about the covenant again with Moses when the people come out of Egypt. And God says, this is my covenant with you. And he tells them the laws, and he asks them if they're going to keep the laws. Okay?
Amen.
Okay. Now, you're like, what does this have to do? Okay, do you want me to explain the whole cutting? This is a pause. But you want to know why Abraham